It's already been 3 months since we embarked on this journey to create a lush and vibrant planted aquarium rack using only minimal technology. And today, I'm excited to show you the progress we've made. Let's dive in. All of our aquarium plants are doing quite well, but we have a small problem. Our tanks are finally, after 3 months, dirty. Now, all we've done up to this point is refill evaporation. And I believe we may have done 1 or 2 water changes. But really, we've done very, very little, and it's finally starting to show. Before we can do anything with these tanks, they're gonna need a good cleaning. I think the first thing we should do is a good old-fashioned water change. And in the spirit of low tech, we're going to use a simple piece of airline to slowly and gently siphon out the water. So I went ahead and did the water change on all of the tanks. I saved you from having to witness that. And now it's time to give them a good scrub down. Normally, you see me use a razor blade to clean my aquariums. This time, I'm going to switch things up and just use a soft sponge. Now we got things nice and cleaned up and refilled with water, but I really just kind of was bored with these tanks. Though when I set them up to see if all of these plants could be done in low tech. So I kind of did maybe 1 or 2 plants per tank, which was great for the experiment, but at 3 months in, I think I've proven it can be done. Now I want to see if it can be done and look good. So after a little bit of thinking, I decided to redo some of these tanks. In this Rotala rotundifolia tank in particular, I decided I wanted to go a little bit extra on. In order to do that, I kind of had to remove about 80% of the current Rotala rotundifolia that had rooted in there, which is gonna cause quite a stir. In addition, I also added some decorative pieces, which you'll notice in the backgrounds. Those are actually pieces of tile. Now what I'm doing here with these pieces of tile is actually using them as barricades to keep the substrate at different heights for mostly just for visual appeal, but this would also be effective if you needed a plant that wanted to or needed to root deeper than the rest of your plants or for whatever reason. But since we're making such a huge mess because we're stirring up all the substrate, we are going to need to do another second water change. Now that we have our tank nice and cleaned up with a little bit more water in there to work with, it's time to start planting our new design. So I think we will begin by filling this foreground area with carpeted pearlweed. Now I will also go ahead and leave a couple of the plants mixed in there, some of the lilies and some of those other things. Moving right along, I think we're going to make this elevated corner that we made with the tile here reserved for Taiwan lilies. I think that would look really nice when that grows out. Hopefully these will grow quickly, as this tank is nice and seasoned now as a 90-day no-tech tank. Its substrate's very biologically active, so hopefully these plants will root very quickly and start growing quickly. I think the final plant I'm going to add to this particular aquarium is a piece of water wisteria that actually grew out of an aquarium, so it got a little damaged from the hot desert air, and we're going to place it back in here to recover and just kind of grow out from here. Now, before we show the transformation of that tank, let's go ahead and look at some of our other aquariums on this rack and see what we did to those. This is our pearlweed aquarium, and my plan for this is just to keep it as a simple low cut carpet. In the lower rack we have our Hydro 10 gallon. In this aquarium I decided to go ahead and plant some of our excess plants in as well, because I was dealing with a little bit of an algae problem in this particular tank. So I wanted to see if a few more plants would help out. Now, I mostly ended up planting more Bacopa carolinea, which is the plant we see right now, and then more Taiwan lilies as well. It's been exactly 1 week and 90 days since we began our adventure, and here we are. We're looking at our carpeted pearlweed aquarium with our Vienna guppy mutation. It's a silver blue Vienna, and this carpet is doing very excellent. It's looking really good for how much I just cut off a week ago. It needs time to recover. You can see the new growth there, the very bright green leaves on top. It's all new growth from where I cut it down last week. Now, I do plan to actually take it shorter than it currently is. I'm just waiting for it to recover before I cut any more off. Now, directly next to our pearlweed aquarium, we have our Alternanthera renecii tank. This used to be our hornwort and Alternanthera tank. I have obviously removed the hornwort, and in its place is a little bit of pearlweed and a couple of lilies in the back. It's going to be a mostly Alternanthera and lily tank. Our last tank for the top rack is our one we put the most effort into, and I have to say, I think it looks amazing. I'll leave that up to you guys though. Let me know what you think of this tank in particular in the comment section. But what's really amazing about this is how much the Taiwan lilies and pearlweed grew after only a week. I really didn't expect this level of growth. After a week, normally I would be happy to have the roots begin growing and maybe to see the beginnings of a leaf development. I've already trimmed it actually midweek to get it all nice and level like this, and there's an obvious new growth on the Taiwan lilies, which is just amazing to see. Speaking of our Taiwan lilies, directly below is our Taiwan lily no-tech aquarium. Now this aquarium has probably done the absolute best out of all 5 of them. It hasn't required anything. The plants are doing phenomenal. I've been pulling out clones from here. Some of you probably have clones from this tank. So, honestly, just an amazing plant and an amazing low-tech tank. And finally, we have our Tiger 10-gallon tank. Now, this tank's got a few issues going on, mostly algae. I'm going to keep adding plants. I might need to add a little bit more substrate. I think that's why some of my plants aren't doing so well. But yeah, we're going to keep at it, and maybe it'll be better next month. But that's our month 3 update, guys, for 5 low-tech aquarium ideas that you can do super easily.